Tov, today's Daf Yomi is Kiddushin Daf Pei Beis, as we come to the conclusion of Seder Noshim and Meseches Kiddushin. We thank Hashem Yisbarach for giving us the strength to study this together, and we pray for the opportunity to do many more Mesechtos together. It says the Mishnah on the top of Pei Beis Amud Aleph, Yomad Adam Ravak Sofrim. A person who is, Rashi says, Ravak is panoi below Isha, a person who's unmarried should not teach Sofrim. Rashi says that this means Milam de Tinokos, meaning to say, Lo Yargil Ravak Atzmo Liot Min HaSofrim. He shouldn't be one of the Sofrim. Sofrim means to count. Literally, today we call it a scribe, but in time of the Talmud, it means one of the teachers of the Torah. So somebody who's single should not be one of the teachers of the Torah. Gemara is going to explain the reason. I want to just say that today we have a singles community, but this was never something that there used to be. It used to be that the community said, you got married now. You didn't wait for love. It was a business arrangement. It was like going into the store and buying milk. You had to do it. So if you don't like the milk, you still have to buy it. So that's why there's a harsh attitude for those who are not married. They would not let them be a scribe or be a teacher. And so too, a woman should not be one of the people who teaches small children. Gemara is going to explain why. Rabbi Lazar Omer Af Mishengo Isha Lo Yomad Sofrim. Also, somebody who doesn't have a wife, Gemara is going to explain what that means, should not be a teacher. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Lo Yireh Ravak Behema Lo Yishnu Shnei Ravakin B'Talas Achas. Rabbi Yehuda says a person who's a shepherd should not be single. A single guy should not be a shepherd, and single men should not sleep under one cloak. What's the reasoning? The reason why a single person should not be a shepherd, we're concerned he might desire the animals. And two men should not sleep under a single coat, blanket if they're single, because we don't want them to engage in sex. The Chachamim matirin, whereas the Chachamim allow this. The Chachamim allowed it because they weren't concerned that the baseline men would be doing these things. That's only because they weren't concerned. But if there would be a concern that if the person is gay, then for sure he would not be allowed to basically have yichud with another man, because then we do have the concern. And so therefore that's a clear implication. So Gemara says, my time, what's the reasoning why a man who's single should not be a teacher? If you want to say, well, we're concerned that he's going to want to engage in sexual acts with the children, this is not a concern. We don't assume that he's going to want to engage in these acts. So Ella Ravak Mishum Amasa Diyanuke and Isha Mishum Avasa Diyanuke. No, it's because the single man and the single woman are concerned what's going to happen is when the parents drop off their kids, there's going to be socializing. And so therefore, we're worried that they'll be fraternizing and it could lead to adultery. And so therefore, we don't allow it. Rabbi Lazar says, Af Misha Ein Lo. Rabbi Lazar says, also somebody who doesn't have a wife should not teach children. Ibailu Misha Ein Lo Isha Klal doesn't mean somebody who doesn't have a wife at all. And in that case, what's he adding on to the Tanakama? Well, the Tanakama says he's single, meaning he never got married. And Rabbi Lazar is saying even if he had a wife and she died, she can't do it. Or is he saying, Odelma B'She'ena Shruyaso? No, he has a wife, but he's not living with her. He's overseas. Or she's overseas. So Tashma Af Mishi Yeshlo Ve'ena Shruyaso Lo Yomad Sofrim. So we say, yeah, even if somebody has a wife but she's not with him, he shouldn't teach the children Torah because he might come to fraternize with the parents, and that could lead to adultery. Rabbi Yehuda says that a single man should not be a shepherd or sleep under the blanket with another man. Tanya Amar Lo Rabbi Yehuda, Yisrael Mishkav Zachar Behema. They said to Rabbi Yehuda, we don't assume that the Jewish people have Mishkav Zachar, which is homosexuality, or that they have. We don't assume that the people were engaged, were looking to have sex with animals. Says the Mishnah, Kol Sha'as Akav Imanashim. Anybody who has a job which has a lot of women who need to engage with this person's services, he's not allowed to be secluded with women. Well, anyway, a man is not allowed to be secluded with women. We already learned in the previous Mishnah, one man can't be secluded with two women in a city, and on the road, even three. We say that on the road is even more of a concern. But that is if you don't know the women, if you don't have a relationship. But if you have a relationship, even with many women, you shouldn't be secluded. Adam. A person shouldn't teach his son to do a job which will require him to be interacting with a lot of women. So the Gemara is going to explain examples of those jobs. Rabbi Meir says, person should always teach his son a job that's easy and clean. And he shouldn't say, says the Gemara, V'yispalo Misha Osher, says the Mishnah of V'yispalo, when Misha Osher v'nachasim shalo, and he should pray to the one who has the wealth and the possession and all the money, she'ein umnus, she'ein ba'anius v'ashirus. So, the person should always do a job with an easy profession, and he should pray to the one who controls all the money, because there's no wealth that doesn't have poverty, and there's no job that doesn't have poverty and wealth associated with it. Shalom is because you can become rich or poor from any job. Shalom nios mina omnis, well ashirus mina omnis. The wealth and the poverty does not come from the job. She'ein ba'anios v'ashirus shalom nios mina omnis, well ashirus mina omnis. El hakol fislu. So everything comes upon your merits. It's not based upon the job you do. It's based upon the fate from Hashem. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, he says, have you ever seen in your lifetime an animal that has a profession? Have you ever seen a dog showing up to work at its law firm, or a goat showing up on Wall Street to be a stockbroker? No, you never saw such a thing. But nevertheless, they somehow managed to make a living. But all these creatures were created just to serve me. And I was created to serve my Creator. How much more so should I really have been able to make a living without any pain? But what did I do was I ruined my actions ruined me, and I abbreviated my ability to make a living. Basically, I cost myself all the money because of my actions. Abagurion ish tzadayan omer mishum abagurya lo yomod as beno chamar. A person should not teach his son to be a donkey driver, or a gamal, or a camel driver, or a sapan, or a captain of a ship. He shouldn't teach his son to do any of these positions, or a kedar, or a wagon driver. Rashi says all of these jobs are the jobs of robbers, because when they sleep on the road, then what they're going to do is they have to go and they collect food and wood from the vineyards, and also They make deals with people and then they go back on their deals and don't have any of these jobs. And he also shouldn't be a roa, a shepherd, v'chamlani, or a shopkeeper. Raj says the problem with a shepherd is that they graze in other people's fields, or a chamlani is somebody who, the shopkeeper is always watering down the wine and stuff and cheating people out of money. But these professions, umnos listim, they are the professions of robbers. Hold on one second. Okay. We go on. Rabbi Yehuda said, Omer Mishmo. Rabbi Yehuda says in his name, i.e., in the name of Abagoria. He says, Achamorin Ruban Rishaim. The donkey drivers, most of them are wicked. Vagamalin Ruban Kasherin. And the camel drivers, most of them are kosher. Hasapanin Ruban Hasidim. He says the captains of the ship are mostly pious. Why is he saying all these things? Because since these people are the camel drivers, since they're out in the wilderness and there are a lot of animals around them, they're always praying. And the captains of the ship, they're always in danger. So they're praying. And then we have the line, which is often quoted. It says, Tov Sheberofim Legehenim. The best of the doctors are going to hell. So what's the reasoning here? Rashi gives several reasons. Rashi says, first of all, Eino Yarei Minacholi. They're not afraid of illness. And so therefore, Umachol Machol Briim, and they eat healthy. Eino Meshaber Libo Lamachim, so they don't need to daven. Upamim Shoreg Nefashos. Number two, sometimes they kill people. Number three, VHB other Larafos Ani, Veina Marape. They have in their ability to heal poor people, but they don't do it because the guy doesn't pay. And that's why Rabbi Yehuda says the best amongst the doctors are going to hell. Tov sheberofim legehenim. So some say, well, if that's the case, these are not the best of the doctors. These are the worst of the doctors. These are wicked people. So there's a lot of explanations. Sometimes the doctor isn't going to be so precise, and sometimes what the doctor will do is he'll send you for more tests unnecessary because he wants to keep getting paid. That's another explanation. The Meiri writes that the best of the doctors are going to Gehenna because sometimes he'll give up hope and he'll say there's nothing to do, and he'll let the guy die, even though there was really could have worked harder to save him. Another explanation is the doctor who thinks he's the best, he's the one who doesn't take a second opinion. So arrogant. And that's the one who's going to hell. HaKosher Shabbatabach, says the Mishnah, Shutfo Shel Amalek. The best amongst the butchers is the partner of Amalek. What does that mean? It means because he's always serving you things which are a suffix. You're not sure if it's kosher. And so he's still serving it. Also, the Amalek is the gematria of suffix, of a doubt. And the best of the butchers is like Amalek. Rabbi Naorai says, Maniach ani kol umnu shebaolam. I would leave aside all the professions in the world, ve'eni melamin es b'ni el Torah. And I wouldn't teach my son, I would only teach my son Torah. Sha'adam ochal maskura bo amazev, akaren kayemes lo amabah, because a person receives the reward of Torah from this world, but retains the principle. It gets the dividends in this world, and the principle remains in the world to come. Mushar kol umnos, and all the other professions, ain't unkin. It's not the same thing. Because in all the other professions, when a person becomes sick or elderly or gets afflictions, and he's not able to do his work, he's going to die from famine. Torah ain't okay. The Torah, the older you get, the weaker you get. Mishmaraso mikol ra. It guards you from everything bad. V'naruso when you're young. V'nosenes lo achris v'tikva biskenuso. And when you're older, it gives you hope and a purpose. V'naraso ma'omer. When a person is young, what does it say? It says, V'kovei Hashem, those who cleave to God, yachifu koach, they'll get more energy. Biskenuso ma'over. What does it say when he's old? O yudin vum b'seva. He will still be able to basically harvest in his old age. It says by Abraham, Avram zakein v'Hashem beirachat Avram b'kol. Avram was older, and Hashem blessed him with everything. Matzinu she'asa Avram Avinu es kol Torah kula. This proves that Avram did the entire Torah, ad shelo nitna, even before it was given. How does it prove that Avram did the entire Torah before it was given? Because it says Hashem blessed him with everything, and we know that Avram did the whole Torah. So it says Ekev Asher Shema Avram Bekoli V'Yishmar Mishmar Timitz V'Saychel Kusai V'Sorasai. So since it says that he did the whole Torah, because it says God says Abraham, watch my commandments. So what does it mean that Hashem blessed Avram with everything? It means that he had the Torah. And that's what it means to be blessed with everything. If you have the Torah, it means you're blessed with everything. I want to share with you that we quoted the statement of Rabbi. Rabbi's statement said, hold on. And the Rabbi's statement says, I would only teach my son Torah. But we're going to see that the Brisa says, and you're also supposed, that we've seen elsewhere that you're supposed to teach your son a craft. So it seems like a little bit of a contradiction. Are you only supposed to learn Torah, or are you also supposed to learn a job? So there was a lot of commentaries explain it doesn't mean that you're only supposed to learn Torah, but that's the way that Rav Norai's statement contradicts the mission in Avos, because the mission Avos, Perek Beis Mishnah Beis says, whoever teaches his son Torah that doesn't have a job with it, in the end it won't last. You have to teach your son a job. And also we said back on Kiddushin Chav Tesam and Aleph, you have to teach your son how to make a living. So there's a lot of answers to this question. One of the answers is Rabbi Norai is saying, no, you have to teach that the Torah is the main thing and the work is secondary. A second answer is Rabbi Norai is saying for himself, because he saw that his son was a real tzaddik and he was an expert, and the community was going to support him. So he said, so my son should study Torah. That's what he was saying. Torah Rabbanan, Kol Sha'asakav Imanashim, whoever has a job that interacts with women, Surora. Then what's going to happen is he's going to behave inappropriately. Kigon, what are examples of this? Hatzorfin, these are people who make jewelry. Asrikim, people who work on clothing. Anikuros, people who crush the spices. Arochlin, the spice mongers. Agardayim, the weavers. Asaparim, the barbers. Akovsim, the laundry makers. Agera, what is the Gera? This is somebody who lets blood. And then we have Abawan, this is the bath attendant. Maburski, the tanner. One of these people, if you have one of these jobs, you're not going to grow up to be the president of the United States. You're not going to be the king or the Kohen Gadol. My timer, not because they're disqualified, but because their job is it's not becoming, it's not the best type of profession. There are 10 things that were said about a blood letter. He walks in an arrogant manner. He's arrogant. And he reclines when he goes down. He's stingy. He has a wicked eye. He eats a lot of food. Because the people, before they let the blood, they eat a lot. Because he eats a lot, of bread, then it's going to limit the excrement, the feces that he puts out. And he's suspected of being adulterous because he deals with a lot of women. And stealing. How does he steal? Because the women come to get their bloodlet, they steal from their husbands to pay him. And sometimes he takes the blood too much and he ends up killing people. Person should always teach his son an easy profession. What is that? Yehuda taught it's mechta the talmiyusa, some type of needlework that looks like plowing. Tanya Rabbi Omer ein lucha umnus shoveres min ha'olam. There's no profession that's unneeded. Every job is needed. But ashrei misha roa as horav. Fortunate is the one whose parents see him, or maybe he's the one who sees his parents. The umnus meula, doing a good profession. Oilo misha roa as horav umnus peguma. Woe to the one who sees his parents doing a bad profession. You have Charlo Olam Bulabasam Bulaborski. You can't have a world without a spice monger and without a tanner. But a tanner is a very smelly profession. Asher Misham Naso Bosem, Vilo Misham Naso Borski. Woe to the one whose job is to be a spice monger, and woe to the fortunate the one whose job is a spice monger, woe to the one whose job is a tanner. You have Charlo Olam Bulazacharim Bulakavos. You can't have a world without males and females. Asher Misha Banam Zacharam, Vilo Misha Banam Kemos. Fortunate the one who has male children, and unfortunate is the one who has female children. But the commentaries say this doesn't mean male and female. The commentaries already from the Meiri, they start saying it refers to somebody who's a man who's not doing his job as a man. That's how they understand it. A person should always teach his son to do a very nice and easy profession. And he should request mercy from God to the one who controls all the wealth. Because poverty doesn't come from the job, and wealth doesn't come from the job. It comes from somebody, the one who makes the wealth. As it says, to me is the gold, and to me is the silver, so says God. Shimon Elazar says, have you seen any in your lifetime an animal that can't make a living? Tanya Shimon Elazar says, I never saw a deer that was drying figs. Va'ari saval. And I never saw a lion carrying bags. Vishual chanmani. I never saw a fox that was a shopkeeper. Nevertheless, they figure out how to make a living without working 80-hour weeks. They were created only to serve me. And I was created to serve my creator. Just like those who were only created to serve me, and they can make a living without any distress. I was created to serve my creator. For sure, I'll make a living without any distress. But what can I do? I ruined myself with my deeds, and I abbreviated my living. I cut off my parnasa. As it says, Avonosechem hitu. Your sins is what caused you to go to not Avonosechem hitu eleh. It's your sins that caused you to have this. Rabbi Neorai Omer Meniach Ani Kol Umnos. Tanya Rabbi Neorai taught Meniach Ani Kol Umnos Sheba Olam. I would leave aside all the professions in the world. What does that mean? Eini Malamin is Bini El Torah. And I would only teach my son Torah. Shekol Umnos Sheba Olam Einum Det Meneslo Ela Bimei Al Duso. All the professions are only good for him while he's young. So they have forced retirement when you get older. Or Muto Barav, he's going to be starving. Well, Torah ain't okay. The Torah is not like that. Adam do so. They're good for a person when he's young. And and they give him hope when he's old. I'll do so now. Omer, when he's young, he says, Hashem, no, the to God, they're going to give them more energy. Yahu Aver Kinesharim. And basically he'll be strong like an eagle. Bizkenu so Mao Omer, O Yunuvim Beseva, Tishenim Rananemiyu. So he'll be fruitful and multiplying while he will be strong and prosperous while he is older. So Hadranoach Hasar Yochsen Sliko on the Sachas Kiddushin, God willing, we'll do a siyum on Shabbos Kodesh. But we want to thank everybody for the opportunity to study Seder Nashim, Mesechas Kiddushin with everyone together. And a Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov.